Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Black and Abroad, an interview series highlighting the lived experiences of Black expats around the world. I'm Kendall Tyson, your host, licensed therapist, and fellow Black expat. We have a great episode in store for you today, and I would like to welcome my former colleague, Miss Jessica Duguet. Hey, Jess.
Hi.
So where are you currently right now?
Okay, I'm in Shenzhen right now in Shikory.
Okay. Well, let me just introduce you to our audience.
Okay.
Jess was born and raised between France, Guadeloupe, and Martinique.
Yeah.
She found a passion for language and teaching and decided to become a language teacher. I think you're teaching French right now, right?
Yeah. I switch now. Yeah.
Okay. She is the only daughter on her mom's side and the first on her father's side. And due to the working conditions in the French West Indies and her desire to live her passion, she ended up teaching in China, which was unexpected and far from what she had planned for her career. I think you have something in common with the rest of the expats that I know, is that, coming to China definitely wasn't on the vision board, but it's
No.
obviously part of our reality. So I would like to welcome you, Black and
Thank you.
Abroad.
Thank you.
So, one of the first questions that I like to ask my guests is, who is Jess Duguet in her own words?
Okay, that's a hard one.
Everybody says that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I am still figuring it out.
Okay.
Who I am.
You and everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, I know who I was raised to be, but now I'm like, okay, I'm actually am. Like, I would say I'm just a work in progress. Just this. I'm a happy, bubbly woman, but I got a lot to work on. So work in progress.
I hear you. So when you think about, let's just say, you meet a stranger on the street, what do you think they would see first?
Oh,
what about you would radiate?
I mean, my smile, I'm like always smiling. I cry a lot and I can cry just by smiling, just by being happy.
You are a very, I wouldn't say emotional because I don't like the word emotional because it has a negative connotation. I think that you are a very feeling person, and that's a great quality.
Yeah. So the first thing that everybody mentioned is how smiley I am, and sometimes I don't even realize it. So, but yeah, I just love being happy. It's just, you can tell me anything you want, how your day starts really bad. I'm always trying to go and see and find something positive and something to make you smile. Same thing with me, because yes, I do have bad days, but I'm just like, okay, let's find something to make that day better or happier that it started. And yeah, so yeah, short, happy smile.
I would agree with that. When I met you, you were smiling and you were happy, right? And we've had conversations, over the years that we, connected and talked, and you are a very positive seeking individual. So I can definitely attest to your perspective of yourself. So as we get into like the meat of the conversation, I'm always curious to know how people found themselves becoming an expat. So, tell us about the genesis of your journey.
So I didn't even know the word of expat. So my aim was to get graduated and find a job at home as a language teacher. And that was it. Live my life.
Right.
So that got derailed when I had to leave my island to get an internship. So, I mean, at the time, not that I'm that old, but if you didn't know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody,
nepotism for real.
It was quite something. So, I mean, I found a lovely teacher who told me, look, if you want that internship, you will have to transfer to France because there's more spots over there than on our island. So I was like, okay, talk to
Yeah.
my mom. And we agreed. She was like, okay, I mean, I know somebody who can, where you can live with. So, so yeah, so I packed all my stuff, say byes, and arrive in France, where I get an internship spot right away.
Wow. That's
So I just
amazing.
feel, yeah, the same application. So it was like to go to be a French language assistant in UK.
Mhm.
That was part of my plan because I wanted to teach, to be an English teacher back at home in France, but I couldn't see myself being a teacher, an English teacher, without living in the country, knowing more about the culture or experiencing it, or yeah, tell my kids, yeah, that's what's happening. That's so I wanted to experience it.
I hear that. So it
So
sounds like you wanted things to be a little bit more authentic as opposed to theoretical.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went there for 1 year. That was the plan. So for 1 year, I just love the way languages was taught over there. It was more on learning, game style of lesson. Back at the time, back at home, it was open your book page, read it, read over again, do the exercises. That's it.
Yeah.
End of the lesson and homework. Over
Yeah.
there, it was more like interactive, and I just love that way. So I stayed another year, and then, and then I found during that last year, I found a way to actually transfer my degree to the university where I was. I was in the Northeast in a town called Middlesbrough.
Mhm.
So I found a way to transfer everything and to finish my license. So I was in my last year. And I did that. And then I decided to do the teacher training in UK, because back at home, if I had followed that path, I wouldn't be, how do I say it? I wouldn't own my professional experiences or positions. I will be dependent on the education bureau. We will choose
Ooh.
where I would go, how long I would stay, and it was a
Okay. So you wouldn't
system
have as much
of
autonomy.
no, no, not freedom even.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why I switched. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to be a French teacher in an English country now.
Yeah. It sounds like a good bet.
Yeah, so I did that. I did that, my training in French with Spanish as a second language. And I start my career in UK, where I thought I would be settling down, having my life and everything, until I had some a hardship experience back at school, and that opened my eyes on
Mm.
stuff that I didn't see coming.
Mm.
And at the time, I had friends who were already thinking about moving out of UK due to the workload. I mean, we were passionate teacher, but passionate teachers who wanted to have a life outside school. And the system at the time didn't provide that.
Mm.
So my friends heard about China or moving abroad, and China was one of the country, and they did make the move. And then they told me, "Oh God, Jess, you have to come over. We are teaching, but we do have a life. We're going out
Mm.
like weeknight. We are out." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No way." I was still in UK, still in my books, and I was like, "No, that's not possible to be a teacher and go out during a weeknight." It's
Yeah.
like,
And have fun.
yeah. So yeah, that's how it started. China came on the in the picture, and then it came at the right time, because I was having that new career choice forced upon myself.
Mm.
Let me put it like this way, positively. So I was like, okay, it's a good time to take a break, and I did that. I changed, I moved up to become a teaching assistant, where for a year getting ready to move and to visit my friend in China. Before that, they told me, oh, it would be nice if you could have your CELTA. So I was like, okay. I applied for that. I always wanted to visit Canada. So I took the opportunity to apply for a course in Canada, where I spent a month and a half getting my certification. And after that, I flew to Beijing for my first ever China experience.
Wow. So you've been
Yeah.
abroad for a while.
Yeah. I
That's a
mean, I
few
left.
years. So you're not new
Yeah.
to this
No, no.
at all. I heard something. I noticed the shift in your tone, and you're free to share whatever you're comfortable with. But the person that I am, I gently probe all the time. So the next question that I like to ask is about any defining moments that we've experienced in our time abroad. And I noticed as you were discussing, your experience in the UK, that there was a hint of something that was distressing or unsettling or unexpected. And I'm wondering if you wanted to share what that moment was and how it kind of shifted your thinking and shaped your decision about living abroad and studying abroad.
Okay. It was I mean, the school I was hired first after just graduating from the teaching they just went through a hard patch. And it's basically like the rule, like the most recently hired is the first one out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So
I'm sorry about
but
that.
when you spend time to build relationship with your colleagues, that you think that they're more than friends, they getting to start to the friendship. So I struggled really, really hard when that arrived. So when they told me, I mean, yeah, they told me that usually it's what's going to happen, and it's the first time I ever had to face something like that. So I was like, what do I do? And obviously I didn't take it really well. But yeah, so I had to leave, and I can't enter in the details
That's
because
fine.
I can't. But yeah, so that's what happened. So it was my first full-time position. But then I had like friends around, like that they really helped me. They really helped me to get out of where I was after that event. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering, what did you
So
learn about yourself through that experience? Because I know that can be difficult, especially, just stepping out, new in this industry that you're excited about, and
yeah.
systemic things outside of your control negatively impact your life. And now it's like, well, what do I do now? Because this was not a part of the plan.
Well, I think it's the first experience which it was the beginning of the universe, I like to say, teaching me to find my voice and just to think about me, because I tend to think about others before myself. And I think that's why I took it so hard. It was like I was thinking about the kids, I was thinking about the relationship that I built, and I was, yeah. So that was the first time where the first lesson about just find your voice, protect yourself, and yeah. So, but at the time I didn't know it yet.
I hear you.
But yeah,
It's kind of
when
like you got to go through, I don't believe that we have to experience traumatic situations to grow, but it's kind of like the difficult challenges that we experience, that we encounter, they shape us, right? We can either rise to the occasion or we can succumb to the weight. And it sounds as if you had enough presence of mind, community support to realize that, all right, this is a bump in the road. You know, I'm looking at it from the bigger perspective of it's going to push me to something better, which it obviously did. But I also hear like that you kind of maybe, which a lot of us do this. I mean, I've done this myself, maybe finding like a personal flaw in why it happened to you.
Yeah.
Something personally when it's definitely not. So it's us learning how to externalize when these things happen and not internalize, you know, these difficult situations to make them about us when they aren't about us. They happen to us, but they are not because of us. So I'm wondering, you know, how have you learned over the years to shift your perspective when unexpected things do happen?
I'm still struggling with that. I'll be honest. It's definitely taking me less time than it used to, but it's still something that make me stop and just stop and think. And I was like, okay, why? Okay, or how? Or just I just like, okay, let me breathe in and out.
Yeah.
Think about,
let me regulate.
Okay, what, where do I go from there? What do I respond if I had to respond? Or yeah. So but I'm getting better and better at it now. And I think that's why I'm getting better and better at it. So
happy to hear that, because I hear it as you're talking. First off, you're smiling, right? So I think it's a realization that it's positive. Although it doesn't feel good in the moment, it's going to lead to something that's beneficial, as it has, because based off what you're sharing, your level of self-awareness has grown from the moment these events occur, right? We can get stuck and continue to ask, you know, why is this happening? I mean, we've all been there. But I think, you know, an important shift to make is, it's okay to ask, why is this happening? It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be frustrated, curse if you need to. I know I do that frequently. But then it's, you know, taking that deep breath, you know, regulating yourself in the moment, identifying where your support and help comes from, and then asking, okay, I notice that this is uncomfortable for me. But what am I learning through this situation? What is this unexpected thing teaching me? Where is it leading me? And where do I choose to go? So literally reclaiming the power that it feels has been stripped from us and making this situation work for you.
Yeah, totally. And it's easier and easier to do it for me now because of those past lessons. So I'm like, think about those, how you get out of those. Is there anything you can reapply here? Oh, so that's
that's one thing I like about like the work that I do is when you found success in a situation, when you've been able to dig yourself out of that hole, you know, pull yourself out of that quicksand, the lessons that you learn throughout that experience are generalizable throughout any experience that you encounter, right? However you've grown from that, you can apply it to a lot of different situations that are going to help yourself when you find yourself in another situation, because that's just the nature of life. When you're either in something, you've come out of something, and you're on your way into something, it's a constant prune. My mother says all the time, it's a constant pruning process. And pruning sucks. It doesn't feel good. But that immediate situation is definitely going to help you in your future situation. I'm wondering, have you noted that to be true?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, and I'm here now because of those past experience. If I had like took another away and decided, no, I'm holding my grounds. I don't know where I would be, but definitely not in China. So yeah, yeah.
I appreciate that. It's kind of learning when to bow out.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
fight
I mean,
doesn't need to be fought.
and it's not weakness because I had to fight with that. Like saying bowing out or just turning away, it's not doesn't mean that you're weak or that you lost the battle or whatever. It's just like, yeah, it's not that one to be fought. It's just
Exactly.
like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny that you say that because that's definitely a lesson that I'm still learning.
Oh, I mean, I'm saying, but it's learning in progress, I'm still doing it the same, sometimes I'm still like, okay, do I really want to fight that battle, or do I choose to go there because this side is like, well, more interested, it's more
Yeah.
interesting and it's more worthwhile than just my ego telling me, oh, you have to fight this. You can't let
Yeah.
that happen, you can't. But yeah, so it's
That's that
I'm
presence
still
of mind. Yeah, that's that self-awareness, like speaking, like, yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
be willing. I'm gonna radically accept that this is the reality, and there is so much more on the other side of this crappy situation that I'm in. But this is not a period. It's simply a comma, for sure.
I like that.
Um,
Yeah.
having experienced what you experienced, having been let go of a position before that I really enjoyed, it really does something to your psyche, especially if you're a high performing, high achieving individual. When you experience these type of letdowns, it can really do a number on your mental health. I know that I was depressed, and I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I wasn't in education at that time. I was working, in my major, but working for a company that had a lot more issues than I was aware of at the time. And then when I was let go of this position, and it was kind of the same thing, some of the first people that were hired or the last people that were hired were let go. But the caveat was most of the people that were let go, or I'll say all, were Black. And so that was the added like stab wound. And I know that for, while looking for another job, comparable position, something that I felt, good to do every day, I had major depression. And it was such a difficult time for me. I'm wondering, as you went through that transition from, because you were in the UK, right, at this point?
Yeah.
As you went from this transition to the UK, to a stint in Canada, into Beijing, I'm wondering, can you share with us how you believe your mental health to have been impacted?
Well, before jumping on that flight to Canada, I had to receive help. I needed it. And at the time, it's like, I mean, we Black, right? Like,
that's one of my questions.
So I always remember that when the idea was brought to me that I may need help from a counselor, and I was like, okay, right. So I finally ended up going. I had the same thing. Yeah, that's not for me.
I'm glad you went. I'm glad you planted the seed.
Yeah. So I went to that first group session. I was like, yeah, those people got issues. I don't have the same issues, so that's not for me.
Yes, says everybody that needs to go to counseling, right?
Yeah. And I went out of the door. I mean, I stayed until the end of the session when I was like, I'm not going back to that. And I didn't until a few more weeks. And this time it was a one-to-one session. And that's how it started.
It was group?
Yeah, group at first.
Okay,
Yeah, it
okay.
was. Yeah, group was the first thing recommended to me for me to attend, and that didn't work out. And then I had then they said, okay, maybe you should try a one-to-one. And then and that did work out, because after that a few one-to-one sessions, I went back to a group one, and I felt more at
Comfortable.
ease, more, I was like, okay, we're on the same boat. It was more okay with me, with my inner
Exactly.
self to be there. So I spent, I think, a year doing different things. So it was different mindfulness group work sessions. Um, it was a new thing starting actually in the area I was in. So that was perfect timing. And then I built the strength to be okay to move to the next chapter. And that's when I went to Canada and started my expat
I
life.
love it. I never knew that. Like, so
I don't really
what you're
say.
saying, I think, especially with, Black people, because I'm definitely going to ask you a question about cultural attitudes about therapy. In our culture, that's not really the thing, right? So, but for you to be able to be accepting of the fact, okay, maybe I could benefit from talking to somebody about what it is that I'm experiencing. Sometimes starting with the group can be a bit overwhelming
Yeah, it
when you're
was.
still in like that contemplation stage of, I don't know why I'm here. I really don't have a solid grip on what it is that I'm hoping to get out of this process. So doing the next thing and then doing more individual work first to kind of get a hold on what your best hopes are, what are the intentions for therapy, what are the areas that you want to grow in. And then, like you did, going back into a group setting and seeing that, oh, we really have a lot in common, and I
Yeah.
can learn a lot and share a lot, with these individuals that I would have never known had I not attended this type of, format.
Mm.
Um, I'm so glad that you shared that, because people sometimes have a misconception of what therapy looks like and the multiple ways to engage in therapy. And I'm wondering, how do you believe that you benefited? What are some ways that you believe going to see a professional helped you to be able to kind of, how did you benefit? I don't want to give away any answers.
Uh, I mean, physically, because during that period, I was more like, I'm staying in. I had that fear of going out and being around other people.
Agoraphobia.
So little by little, I started to get out of my house, of just going for a walk in town, and then feeling better. Like, not like, when you feel, I don't know how to describe it, but where you're like, oh, I just want to stay in bed and put the cover over my head. So I had a couple, yeah, that's it. Weeks where I was like that. So starting those one-to-one session, I had to get out of my house. So that's how it started, little by little, just going out straight to go to the appointment. Then after that, I was like, okay, let's spend 10 minutes after the appointment, just walking around. And then after that, oh, why not walk back home? Because it wasn't that far. And then, yeah. And by the end of it, I was like, I was able to talk to my, I was living with that lovely lady at the time. So I was able to talk to her about my struggle. She was able to say, oh, yeah, but I know that other groups happening in that part of town. If you want, I'm interested to go to, we can go together. And yeah, and then we just went. And then physically, I was feeling much more better. No more eating just to eat. Mentally, I was seeing the life again, like in the light, like, yeah, life is good. Life is, yeah, it's okay. And yeah, that's how it started. So on all levels, if I'm answering your question, like physically, mentally, that's helped me. And that's, yeah, it's
I really appreciate your description of your process. Helping people to understand that it was a gradual
oh
increase.
yeah.
Let's get outside. Well, one, admit that I need some help,
Yeah.
right? This is a lot. And noticing that things are just different and they're heavy. but that there's help out there. So sharing your thoughts and your feelings with a professional, getting outside. Nature is one of the most immediate ways to boost your mood, getting out, physical activity, take a walk. That is
Yeah.
such a good way to lift your spirits, be more mindful. I hear that you engaged in mindfulness without maybe even knowing that it was being,
No.
mindfulness. And then find a community, someone to be there to support you. What, I think one of the lessons is for people to understand is that we don't heal in isolation.
No.
We heal in community. We heal in safe, supportive community. So if nobody hears anything else that we say today, please understand that we don't heal in isolation. We heal when we are connected. And when we are honest with ourselves. So, tell me, growing up, even as an adult, what were any of the conversations and attitudes and, things said about mental health in your household, community, friendships?
Mental health is something I became aware of when I went abroad. That's telling you something. Back at home is you have issue, you keep your issues for yourself, and then you deal with it.
That's the case for every person. Everywhere that I know.
I didn't even know about that world. I didn't even know that was people were doing it as a job. I didn't know anything about it. Because it was you have a problem, you just figure it out.
Yeah.
And then above all, nobody should know about that. It's your business. Your private business is your private business.
Yeah.
So yeah. So nothing.
I hear you. Well, actually, no, you learned a lot. It may not have been the most helpful, but as we get older, the messages that we learn, the things that we see, how we hear people speak of others that have issues, it really seeps into our consciousness. Like, no, I can't tell you that because I see what you did to such and such, or what you said about, this person. And it just breeds shame, and embarrassment and like fear.
Yeah.
And a mistrust of how we feel, right? I'm wondering where you are at this stage in your life, if you were to able give one piece of advice, to your family at that stage, what's one thing that you would say to change or that you would advise
on? Communication. I mean, talk, people. Just like talk to somebody, a trusted family member, but you have to find that person who you can trust. So that's hard. I do understand how hard it is because you can discuss about something and then that person is turning to another person and repeating what you said to. So it's hard, but then you'll find somebody who's just there for you. So just communicate. I wish that would be the word. Just talk. Yeah.
Open, honest communication. I think
so
I posted this thing this morning, like one of my best hopes today is to live honestly, right? And be content in all the things that I do today, right? And I think something that we can benefit from is knowing that that source of support doesn't always have to be our family. And a lot of times it may not be.
And it's more easier sometimes to open to somebody who don't know you.
Yes.
Because
you want me to be honest.
Yeah.
Can't be my family.
It's like, it's definitely sometimes. For me, it was better because I learned how to talk to my family thanks to somebody else, an outsider. So I'm like, find a way which works for you. But for me, it was definitely finding some help outside.
I hear you. I'm curious. I'm always curious. Being here in China or in the UK or France, being away from your nuclear family, from your family of origin. What did it look like? What does community mean and chosen family mean in that regard when you're occupying and living in these new places?
Well, it's hard to find your community when you're abroad. It's hard to find the persons you can rely on. but when you find them, it's just hang on to that, even if they ended up um, moving away or somewhere else. It's just
Right, which they
like
probably will. It's the nature of what we
yeah,
do,
yeah,
right? Transient.
it's yeah. So but yeah, it took me some time, uh, and it's hard. Yeah, it's hard, it takes time, but you find your community, you find your group of people you can rely on and interact with, and you feel okay, or being yourself with those people.
Yeah,
So it's yeah, it's
I hear you.
mm,
I mean,
yeah.
especially because right, you've lived in Beijing before. You know, Beijing can be challenging at
Yeah,
best.
yeah,
So,
and
like, I still miss Sarah to this day. Obviously, we know we talk, but it's
yeah,
it's nothing like being able to go over to somebody's house.
yeah,
They have an
it's
extra
not.
room, stay, eat, play games, all the things that we used to do. And all those things are just ways in which to help you feel grounded and safe,
Mm,
especially when you are away from places that we call home.
yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
now you're in Shenzhen. I've seen some of your amazing pictures that you posted. Share with us some of the ways in which you've learned to care for yourself, to prioritize your needs.
okay, so I subscribed to a program online, so I started to follow one of a mindfulness girl on Instagram, and
Hey, Jess, I
I
love I love
so
it.
I actually, yeah, so I actually I'm in one of her program, and that's helped me. So that's my mindfulness, because being new to Shenzhen, post is it post COVID? No, we're still in COVID time.
Like, we are still in the pandemic.
There's the help. Yeah, the helps are not there anymore, or it's hard to find an appropriate, the one who, yeah, I resonate with, or what. So that's I'm following that external program, and then that's my bubble of mindfulness. That's where I work on myself. I usually set up the weekend, sometimes weekday, but yeah, just working on myself, and then yeah, so that's my mindfulness uh, regime at the minute.
Okay. I like that, being able to get centered,
Mm,
connecting with, like, so social media inherently can be challenging, right?
yeah.
But social media can also be such a source of good information. I mean, i.e., we're doing this for my
Mm,
YouTube channel, right? And if you follow
mm,
me on social media, it's an outlet to be able to share
yeah.
helpful and meaningful tools if people choose to use it that way. So I really like that you're sharing that you went out and you sought something that can be beneficial for you in the social media context that can often, you know, cause spikes of anxiety, spikes of
Yeah.
depression, depending on how much time you're spending on it, what you're looking at. There's a lot of comparison that goes into that. So, what's the name of the person that you're following that's doing the mindfulness?
She's called Manifestation Babe.
Okay.
So that's yeah.
Would you
So that's
recommend
a
people to
program.
follow her?
Oh, totally, because it's helped me. It's helped me a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, mainly, yeah. So totally. Just go and check
Oh,
it out. It's really nice.
okay. Have you been able to connect with, like, there's a big Black community there's a big diasporic community of Black people here in Beijing. I'm wondering, what does that look like in Shenzhen for you?
I heard that there's some Black community, but where I am, they're not really in the part of town
Okay.
I am. I know Didi can drive you anywhere and everywhere in China, but I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, you
So
gotta weigh
it's a
your
bit too
options.
far. Yeah, I'm like, it's like, yeah.
I hear
So
you.
at the minute, I'm just like, I like the bubble I'm in, because it's foreigner friendly. I just
Yeah.
need that at the minute.
Yeah.
I've been to the part of the town where the community is, and it's being in China. It's you've got the bad, you've got the good, and I felt I didn't feel right there.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm going back to my bubble,
Yeah.
and I'm meeting people. I'm meeting primarily my colleagues, but then after that, I meet other people.
Yeah.
I'm meeting other people. So it's slowly process.
Yeah.
Uh, Partly because I'm somebody who like being at home. I just like being
Especially in the winter. Woo, I'm a homebody.
yeah, and it's so but I'm working on that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
energy doesn't lie. And while this is one thing that I have people understand is while we may be phenotypically Black and the
Mm,
same, our experiences are very different
yeah,
and they not feel comfortable in all spaces. So you knowing who you are, first of all, and your motivations behind the things that you're
mm,
doing, but hopefully we can find safe spaces in our own communities, right? And if we can't
yeah,
find them, how do we create them?
mm,
But just really having the presence of mind to know when things work for you, when things feel safe, when things feel healthy, and going for it. And when they don't, finding ways to seek out what it is that you need to be your best self is really important as an expat. I hear that you shared, building relationships with colleagues. One thing that I've learned, and it was shared with me when I first moved to Beijing, is, build the relationships in the buildings that you work with, because we all do a lot together. We're together a lot, right? We're away
yeah,
from our normal set of friends and things like that. But it's also being able to establish a core set of community outside of school, because you
mm,
want to have some boundaries, and have some separation.
yeah.
That just helps to kind of round out the experience living abroad. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. So I'm totally agree with that. Like I've got my work family at the minute, but I also got starting to get my outside family. So people who are not working with me. And yeah, but it's just living in the same area than me.
Yeah.
So it helped. It's actually the first time I did that. I mean, I didn't really go far from my community because I went and signed up for the French community group. So I'm doing stuff with them separately where I'm
Yeah.
with a bunch of French people. We just spending time together doing different activity. And that's really nice, I have to say. I mean, I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking my next step is just to find other people to but
Yeah.
then yeah, we'll see little
Yeah.
by little. I just arrived. So
Take your time. You have
yeah,
time for sure.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
we
I
have
have
just
to
a few
remind
more
me that.
questions. I'm
Mhm.
curious. I say I'm curious all the time. You know, when you think about the advancement of mental health in our communities, what would be a best hope that you would like to see realized in Black communities around the world when it comes to the topic of mental health and wellness?
I'm a big advocate to having it introduced at school. We have to start having mindfulness lesson, mindfulness, or just normal, like primary or early years. Just say breathing, just breathe in, breathe out. Just introduce it because it would help. It would be, yeah. I can't, yeah. I'm just like, how can I do that? And I started doing it this year with my kids. I'm like, they sometimes think I'm crazy or pushy or whatever, but I'm like, hey, you need to think, you need to step out, you need to write your goals, you need to, what do you do to relax, to be happy? So being positive, like starting, it's okay, like just positive talk. Um, and yeah, because I wish I had that when growing up. So I was like, I think it would be a good time to
Yeah.
have it. And the school I am in, something's introduced. It was amazing. It's like we have this staff meeting, but before starting it, we have a mindfulness moment.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a fan, but I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I like that. So yeah, any meeting, we're starting either with a breathing exercises or thinking of something positive, and it does make it easier to, yeah, to go
I
through.
like that.
So
Starting your day in
yeah,
a calm space, in a
yeah,
safe
yeah,
space,
just yeah.
in a
So
collective space. Yeah. If it
mm,
works for the kids, we
yeah,
already know the adults need. If it works for children, it's going to work for adults.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
sounds to me having more of a social emotional learning program embedded into the way that things are
yeah.
done, because it can't
Mm,
just come from the counselors.
no,
That's we can't do it by ourselves, nor should we have to. We need to find a way in which to embed these different ways of thinking, being, reacting,
mm,
responding, reflecting
yeah,
into every content area um, of the school, of the way a school is ran. So
yeah,
I think that's a great best hope.
mm,
Thank you for sharing this. So it
yeah.
sounds to me you've kind of tapped into a way in which you are impacting the immediate community that you serve. But when you think about let me see, how do I phrase this question? When you think about ways in which the life that you're living, how do you, or what you'd like to do in the future, what are some ways in which you'd like to, impact your community, either education wise or back home?
I would love to bring that back home. That's something that is, but I'm still at the minute. I don't know how. I mean, I'm happy. Like I convinced my mom little by little. I would say maybe I were up by saying, yeah, but so now she's embracing the mindfulness thing, and she's even like, oh God, I did that, I meditate. I was like, oh my,
Oh,
who are you?
love
And
it.
then I'm telling my partner this, and he knows that now, and then I'm telling my friend that. So I'm like, it's spreading, it's starting,
It
and that,
is.
and COVID helping, because I have to recognize that there's positive stuff bringing by that. I had some friends who were in France and went back home, and then just opened mindfulness business, health, more related to health. So I can't find the word to say, not the medical one, but the esoteric
Like holistic.
health, holistic. That's the word,
Yeah.
holistic. So it's starting from, yeah, to be there. So I can't wait to be back and see what's
That
and
sounds
how I
so
can,
promising.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like, finger crossed that
Yeah.
it will take, but yeah, I think people are more and more aware, and COVID helped it a lot.
Yeah.
So above, yeah, back home, because yeah, talking about that a few years ago will be like, yeah, you're crazy. Like, yeah,
Right.
I
And
don't
now
know
everybody
what's
kind of
happening.
sees like
Yeah,
life is difficult right now. So
yeah,
it won't hurt to try it.
yeah, yeah.
I see
So
that.
yeah. Mm,
It sounds as if you're tapping into your experience
mm,
and the gifts and the strengths that you have to impact your community one by one, which we know has exponential growth for
mm.
sure.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
we've come to the point where we tend to do, not tend to, we do a rapid fire question round.
Oof. Okay.
So these are, I don't know why people find them so hard, So I ask a question or I make a statement, and whatever is the first thing that comes to mind, you share it. And once we finish
Okay.
that, I'll give you, a moment to share your brief words. And then we will conclude today's amazing interview. So I'm going to start
Mm-hmm.
with, what's one word you would use to describe yourself?
Patient. I'm very patient. Sometimes too
Okay.
much, but yeah, patient.
Well,
Oh
that's
yeah.
an excellent question.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
So what's your favorite country to visit?
Oh my, that's a hard one. I love traveling. So
Yes.
okay. Based on my past experience, I will say Thailand, because that's a country I kept coming back to.
Oh, girl, mine is
Yeah.
Bali. Like,
Oh,
I love Thailand. Thailand,
yeah.
Phuket was amazing, but it was just
Yeah.
something about Bali. And that was my first solo trip. I was like, oh, I cannot wait to get back to
Yeah.
Seminyak for sure. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
what's one thing that you love about yourself?
well, I came to love my smile, being happy all the time. Yeah.
I like that. What
Yeah.
book are you reading right now?
Books. I have a Kindle, and I tend to start books after books. So I'm on two at the minute. Um, the titles are escaping my mind now. So I think it's a little book about money, pocket full of money, something like that. I can't remember. And the other one is on a nutrition books, because that's uh, a new step, a new challenge that I want to start. Um,
Yes. What
because
you're
I'm a
gonna do?
foodie. Yeah, I'm a foodie. I love food,
Yes.
but I need to learn how to eat the one who are actually good for my bodies, and know what I'm putting in. So, and what I
Exactly.
need.
Like
Yeah.
we can have really good French food, right, in
Oh
moderation,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
really understanding the body-brain connection. Like a lot
Mm,
of your gut health is going to impact your whole mental health, physical health. A lot of that is in your gut, your large
mm,
intestine. That's some research to do.
mm.
But I like that. That's a really good goal. Have you done a vision board for this year?
Oh yeah, yeah. Finally did mine. It took me some time
Listen, it
because
don't matter as long as you get it done.
yeah, yeah. I did it. I've done it. I used like Canva and everything.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, let's get them. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
done.
that's what I did. So let me
Um,
ask you, what do you love about your culture?
oh, just talk about food. The food. I love I also love the tradition, even if I don't know a lot about it, unfortunately. But I have an uncle who's like a storyteller, and I
Mm,
just love hearing him talking about those our character from the West Indies. I just love that, and I wish that's something I want to work to know more my um, about my background, about my islands. So yeah,
that sounds epic. That sounds so
yeah. I mean,
interesting. I would definitely say the next time if you are able to come communicate with him, record it.
it's on. It's on. I'm going back
That's
this summer,
yeah,
girl. It's on. Touch wood.
yeah. That
So
sounds yeah, that just gave me chills. I hear like just a lot can be passed down from stories because as a people, we are storytellers. That's how
yeah,
we have been able to share our history, replicate our knowledge is through sharing,
yeah. So
for sure.
so yeah.
So the last question, wrap around
Mhm.
question is, what is your favorite inspirational quote or affirmation?
Mm. Um, I am grateful. That will be one of them. I have so many. Sorry, girls, I don't have one. So
Fine.
many. I mean, the one I tend to repeat daily is I am grateful. I am plus any positive word. I am enough. I am great. I am happy. I am. So I am something I have plastered all over my wall is
Yes.
I love with passion and purpose. That's what I'm trying to in yeah personalized. I mean, put in because the word purpose sometimes is a trigger of oh my god, I don't know my purpose yet.
Yeah.
But
It's a,
yeah,
but you said it, work in
so
progress.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I will be definitely top three. I am grateful. I am any positive word follow that, and live with passion and purpose.
I think that's a great one. I live with passion and
It's
purpose.
yeah,
Thank you for
it's
sharing
helping.
those.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those. So, we've come to the conclusion of our interview. Do you have any final words that you would like to share with our viewers today?
um I would say just it's so silly and people are saying it a lot, but um follow your heart, follow follow what you feel, even if sometimes this can be scary, but that's the first step of being yourself, is just like be okay with what you're feeling. It's
Yeah.
we'll say that.
Your feelings are
And
valid.
yeah, and be yourself, communicate, be okay with your feeling, be yourself. Yeah. So
I like that.
just
Thank you for sharing that. For everybody listening, I'm going to repeat what Jess just shared. Your feelings are valid and you own yours. Nobody can tell you how to feel. So walk confidently in them and know that there's not I don't believe that there's such as a thing as a good feeling or a bad feeling. I believe they're all helpful. And so it's asking yourself when these things do come up for you, where do I notice it first off to kind of give you that, mind, body, self-awareness, and finishing it with, what is this emotion or this feeling trying to teach me? And allowing it to guide you into a healthier direction. So, Jess, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, for sharing your thoughts and your feelings. I'm so grateful that you took the time to spend with us on Black and Abroad.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it. I really enjoyed myself. It was good. I like it. I like
and I
that.
want to say thank you for everyone that's tuning into Black and Abroad today. I encourage you to keep taking risks, impacting your communities, and prioritizing your mental health. Please share this video, this series within your communities. We're trying to shift the narrative of what it looks like to be Black and abroad and to make your mental health a priority. And with that, I definitely want to say that I hope that you all are well. Go out into the world and be your best. Bye.
Bye-bye.